Ladies and welcome to Chris Garcia, the Conservative American. And thank you so much for joining us today. I want to talk to you today about the fact that Donald Trump has got to wake up and realize that he does not have any friends in the city of Washington, D.C. I want to start by saying Donald Trump is a very smart man. He got my vote. He got everybody's vote here at Radio Tribune. He got my wife, the executive producer, Cian. He got her vote. He got our support, and he has our prayers. I always end my show by saying Godspeed to Donald Trump, and he needs it. But he has to wake up and understand that he has no friends in this city. I lived in Washington, D.C. I lived in Georgetown, and it is the most political city. Chicago, who is the city that I call home, might be the most corrupt city. But Washington is the most political city. You get absolutely nothing done there. Chicago, you can get things done through corruption. If you pay a person here, if you do it. In Washington, D.C., those people don't need your money. They need you to be their friend. They are there long term. A lot of those people are there 10, 20, 30 years, 36 years like Harry Reid. You're talking about a half of a lifetime. So they don't need anything for you. They need you to be their friend. They need you to be in their pocket for decades. They watch presidents come and go. Harry Reid watched 5, 6 presidents come and go. So they're going to be there. They're going to live in their apartments in Washington, D.C. They're going to have their houses in Silver Springs, Maryland. They don't care whether you succeed or not. And our president is a smart man. I lived in Brooklyn, New York. I lived in Brownsville. For almost a decade, and you got to understand that you don't get anything done in New York City unless you're a smart man. He did not build a multi-billion-dollar empire, real estate empire, not just in New York City, but all around the world, by not being a smart person. He is a very smart person, very smart, and he knows that you have to have friends to get things done. He had friends in New York City. He had politicians as friends. He had real estate developers as friends. He had unions as friends. He had the mayor as a friend. He knows that you have to have friends in high places to get things done. He is a very smart person. If he's not going to do that, then I believe he needs to use the power of the presidency. He needs to use his executive pen and just push bills through the same way Obama did. Obama came in with an agenda. It was a socialist, left-wing, nutty agenda. From Chicago. He was an activist. He came in, and once he realized that he was on an island by himself, that even the Democrats didn't agree with him, he very quickly and very intelligently just said, what can I do to push my agenda through? I didn't come through all that I come through. I didn't come through the bitter fight that he had with Hillary Clinton. He didn't come through coming up as an activist and as a politician in Chicago to get all the way to Washington, D.C. and watch his agenda crumble. There have been things since 9/11 that have been pushed through by President Bush, who I consider very much a left-wing president, even though he masks as a Republican. But if you look at his legislative record, he was very much a left-wing person. He was very much more Democrat than he was a Republican. And that's why a lot of times he didn't get along with Dick Cheney or his father when he was in office. But he said, I'm going to use, what can I do to push through my agenda? After 9/11 and the backlash that President Bush took from Congress, he just created something and said, hey, there are executive powers that you can take, and these are bills that don't have to be voted on. Barack Obama took advantage of the power of the executive pen and pushed through Obamacare and so many other of his socialist agendas that he had. And if you're going to repeal these socialist agendas, and that's what Donald Trump ran his campaign on, then he needs to use the same power of the pen and just repeal and replace Obamacare, just repeal and replace these tax reforms, just go down, repeal and replace, all of these bills that have been passed by Obama as far as, just everything, the EPA, everything, so that we can start being more energy dependent. But he needs to just go down and open up those files and just bill by bill by bill, just repeal and replace them, and just use the power of the executive pen to do that. Stop thinking that you have friends in Washington, D.C. I would not trust anybody. I would not trust my vice president. I would not trust Speaker of the House. In fact, I would work more with people across the aisle than I would with my own party. at this point. That's what I would do. And I think that's what he needs to do. He's an extremely intelligent man, but this is an agenda that started decades ago. And they are not going to let this agenda be stopped. The agenda was the New World Order. And we talked about that many months ago, many shows ago. People think it's not a conspiracy. They didn't hide it. They told people what they were going to do, whether it be in NAFTA, whether it be in the TCP that was thrown out, which they are still upset about. It was a written out agenda to open up the borders all around the world, to have free trade, to have free travel, to have one monetary unit. The euro was just the beginning of what was going to happen. It was going to be the Amero, in which Mexico and the United States and Canada had one a monetary system, and then eventually it was going to lead to a one world monetary system. They told us that. It was not a conspiracy. I don't believe in conspiracies. Conspiracy is when you're too dumb to realize what's going on, and by the time it hits you over the head, you say, oh, it's not a conspiracy. They flat out told you. They told the American people. They told the European people. They told everyone what they were going to do. Angela Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany, told her people what she was going to do. She was going to open up the borders and take in Syrian refugees. She didn't care who they were. And the United States was going to do the same thing. They wanted to take in, have a 600% raise on refugees that we take into this country. And we're already seeing what's going on. We're seeing people get raped, people get killed already. That was their agenda. One monetary system, free trade, open borders, and of course, the exchange of cheap labor, which was huge in their agenda, leading to a class system. That's what they wanted. No doubt about it. So it was not a conspiracy. They didn't lie to you. They told you exactly what they were going to do. Donald Trump sat and watched as a businessman millions of American jobs being led overseas, thousands of businesses being closed and plants opened in other places. He sat and watched that. He watched the competitiveness of America go down the drain. He sat and watched that. And so that's what led him and fueled him to run for president of the United States. That's what led him to do that. That's why the American people who were affected by what was going on, that led them to vote for Donald Trump. That was the reason that he was voted into office by the American people in numbers for the Republican Party that had never been done before. Even Ronald Reagan didn't get as many votes as Donald Trump did. So there was a reason that he was voted into office. There was a reason for that, right? But he's got to understand that he's just got to use executive orders just to push these plans through. He cannot waste his time believing that he has friends in Washington, D.C., thinking that he can trust his own party. His party was present when Obamacare was pushed through. His party was president. I mean, Senator McCain was there when Bill Clinton was president. He helped sign NAFTA. So you think these people that got their pockets full, as we always say, we want to see 2 tax returns, where they first went to Washington, D.C. and when they left. And these people have made tens of millions of dollars in Washington, D.C. taking bribes from lobbyists. They don't want to change the corrupt system of what's going on. It is a system in which you go there, you become very rich, and you retire, and you live your life as a multi-millionaire, also getting a pension plan from the United States of America. They don't want to change that. They don't care if the borders are open. They don't care if there are people coming in here over the border from Guatemala and El Salvador raping 14-year-old girls. Or shoot, they don't live in those places. They live behind closed walls. They live behind gated communities. Their kids go to ultra private magnet schools. They don't have to live the way the rest of us live. They live in a whole different world, a whole different universe. So they don't care what's going on. They don't care what's going on. So, you know, Donald Trump has to understand that he has to just go about his business in a different way. He is a nationalist. He is not a Republican. He is not a Democrat. He is not an independent. They're all the same. He is a nationalist president. He is the equivalent of Brexit, what's going on in England. They're separatists. They want their own monetary system back. They want their own money back. They want their own identity back. They want their borders closed. That's not Republican, Democrat, or Independent. He's a nationalist. He won on a nationalist tone. The people that voted for him are nationalists. They believe in the Constitution. They're even more extreme than the Tea Party, who to me is just a wing of the Republican Party. He's a nationalist. He is totally different. He believes in separatism. He believes in the United States for the United States. He believes in closing our borders. He believes in our own monetary system. He believes in tax reform. He believes in that you pay for your own health care, but that you have choices. He believes that children and parents can come together and have choices in what schools they want to go to, charter or otherwise. He is a nationalist. None of these people have pushed any of those programs through in the last 3-4 decades. Things have stayed the same in the United States of America because our politicians want things to stay the same. He is running a totally different program and a totally different agenda. He is as extreme as Barack Obama was on the other side. He wants to clean up what Obama did. What's surprisingly is that everybody in Washington, D.C. doesn't think Barack Obama did such a bad job. They really don't. And a lot of people are sabotaging. Outwardly sabotaging. It is not a conspiracy. They are outwardly sabotaging Donald Trump. How can you have a Republican House and a Republican Senate, and you just got a president in who is supposed to be a Republican? You control all three systems, and you can't push in one vote. The first bill that comes up fails. That's not a conspiracy. That is a saboteur. They are sabotaging Donald Trump's presidency. And he's got to be smart enough to know that. I watched him as he thanked Paul Ryan, as he thanked the Republican Party for working so hard. You could hear in his voice he doesn't trust any of them anymore. And I think going forward, if he's smart, if he's as smart as we all think he is, he's going to take things into his own hands. And he's going to get things done his own way. And I would expect him to begin, just like Barack Obama did, to start using the power of the presidency, to use executive orders, to use his executive pen to get things done. I think that that's what he needs to do. He needs to stop wasting his time thinking that Paul Ryan, thinking that Mike Pence, thinking that he can get things done. Even Jeff Sessions, anybody. Those people have been in Washington, D.C. for 10, 20, 30, some almost 40 years. They don't want to see anything change whatsoever. They want things to stay the same. He is a smart enough person to realize that. And there is, I said on Face the Tribune, there is some either snitching or wiretapping going on. They seem to know every single meeting that he has. He met with Devin Nunes, who is the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. He is supposed to lead a nonpartisan view into who was talking to the Russians before the election. That's what he was supposed to be. He was looking into what was going on, who talked to who was doing what, and Donald Trump, who, of course, in his beliefs that Trump Tower and that the White House is being wiretapped by the Obama administration, called Devin Nunes in and had a private meeting with him in the Oval Office. The meeting, of course, as I would have if I was president, what's going on? What have you found? Have you found anything that's going on? Have you found any proof of wiretapping, of which Devin Nunes came out, if you all remember, about a week ago and said, we have found some substantial proof that some of the conversations that members of the Trump administration had, some of the names and some of the conversations had been leaked. Well, we all know that that's a felony, and it would not be hard to find out who leaked those names and who leaked those conversations at all. All of a sudden, he's done a 360 or a 180, and he has now come out and said there is no proof of wiretapping. And the Democrats have now asked for him to step down because they said it is illegal for him to have a private meeting with the President of the United States, who is part of the what's going on, the investigation, as far as having some conversations with the Russians, that the Trump administration is under investigation. So how can you have a private meeting with the people that are under investigation, where any president would have done that? Any president would have wanted to talk to one of the investigators and see, has there been any proof? Because I'm being called a liar on national TV. And I want to show the American people that I am not crazy nor a liar, that I believe my apartment was tapped. I believe that the Oval Office or the White House is being tapped by the Obama administration. And he just simply asked them some questions. And obviously, Devin Nunes said that there was proof of wiretapping, because if you remember, Donald Trump came on and said, I feel vindicated. All of a sudden, a couple of days later now, Devin Nunes came out and said that he had this meeting with Donald Trump, which he knew would bring fire, which he knew they would ask him to recuse himself from the administration, from the investigation. And that's exactly what the Democrats are doing right now. How are they knowing about all of this? How are they knowing about private meetings? How are they knowing about private conversations? Somebody in the Trump administration, or leftovers from the Obama administration, he came in and said, I'm going to drain the swamp. He needs to drain the swamp. There are too many leftovers. There are too many people from the Obama administration that are still there in Washington, D.C., and don't want to see Barack Obama's agenda overturned. He's got to wake up and realize he has no friends. He is a smart man. But these people have been in office for years, for decades. They don't want anything to change. Nothing whatsoever. They want things to stay the same. And he is too smart of a man. He is too smart of a man to sit there and watch what the American people voted him into office to do. Just go down the swamp. With everything else, he was sent in office to drain the swamp. He was sent in office to go around the politicians and get things done. We sent him there with an agenda. Use your pen. Push that agenda through. Stop waiting for these people to come around and understand what you're doing, to want to do the right thing. They don't want to do the right thing. They want the same thing. They want their pockets to continue to be padded. They want these borders to continue to be opened. They don't care about Americans. That's obvious on 9/11. Do you know how many watch lists that those Al-Qaeda members were on? Do you know how many watch lists Osama bin Laden was on? The Clinton administration did absolutely nothing to contain Al-Qaeda before 9/11. Neither did the Bush administration. They did nothing afterwards. Absolutely nothing. We went after Saddam Hussein, who had absolutely nothing to do. Zero. That was the dumbest war that was ever fought. And I hate to say that because I support our veterans. I don't have anything against the military. The military, my dad was in the military for 21 years. When you are a member of the United States military, you go where you are assigned and you fight the good fight and you do what you are told to do. And your job in your mind is to protect the homeland. And that's what these soldiers go to do. But logistically, that was a stupid war. 18 of the 20 hijackers were from Saudi Arabia. Why are we attacking Iraq? That was personal. That was George W. Bush, who had a personal vendetta against Saddam Hussein. But that had nothing to do with 9/11. Absolutely nothing. We should have attacked the people, from the countries from the people of which they came. And we all know that was Saudi Arabia. We all know that was Syria. That had nothing to do with Iraq. In fact, it had more to do with Iran than it did with Iraq. But we're not going to attack Iran. We never will attack Iran. It had absolutely nothing to do with nothing. It was a waste of American lives. It was a waste of American money. And it was a wrong war to fight. It was logistically stupid. It had nothing to do with why we were attacked on 9/11. And now we're finding that out. That the people that really attacked us, Al-Qaeda and the Muslim Brotherhood and all of these jihadists and ISIS, that's not even where they were from. They weren't even from Iraq. It was a ridiculous war to fight. It was stupid. It cost us money. It cost us lives. It actually weakened our military. Strategically, it helped not at all. We didn't achieve any oil from there. We didn't do anything. In fact, Iran gets more oil from there than we do. ISIS now controls that part of the world. So it's just ridiculous what happened. And we're not any safer today. And so now we have members of ISIS trying to infiltrate the United States of America. They already are in England, they're already in Germany, they're already in France. And of course, now we have open borders to the south. And if people don't think that they're going to use those open borders to try and infiltrate the United States of America, you're crazy. Donald Trump is an intelligent man. He sees what's happening, so he wants our borders closed. He wants our borders closed. He doesn't want to see any more senseless lives like on 9/11 or some of the attacks that we've been having. He doesn't want to see that happen anymore. And he just wants those people from those countries that he knows supports ISIS, that he knows supports the Muslim Brotherhood, and those other jihadist organizations. He just wants those people vetted so that we know what they're doing in our country, why they're coming in our country, how long they're going to stay in our country, if they're even legally allowed to be in our country. Maybe they've been deported before. Maybe they have a criminal record. Maybe they shouldn't be here to begin with. And those are just common sense questions that he wants answered. That's why people voted Donald Trump into office. Just common sense things. Lowering the tax rates so that businesses can expand and hire. Closing our borders so that we are safe again. Getting rid of the EPA, those strangleholds that we have, and so we can be more energy self-sufficient and we're not dependent on Saudi Arabia for oil. And we're not dependent on other countries for natural gas. Putting the coal miners back to work. That's killing two birds with one stone. You're putting Americans back to work and you're finding ways to use clean coal so that you can help in emissions and that you can put people back to work and we can be more energy self-sufficient. These are the reasons that we voted him into office, just common sense things. And yet he is being bombarded and he is being attacked and he is being stopped by his own party. He's not being allowed to govern. So if I was him, I would wake up in the morning and say, you know what? If you're not with me, then you're against me. And I'm going to use the power of the executive pen to do what I need to do. And I'm just going to work for the American people because we're the ones that voted him into office. He was not expected out of those 17 candidates that were running in the Republican primary. He was probably the last person that they thought was going to come out of it. It was even a time that Dr. Ben Carson, now his Secretary of HUD, was 20 points ahead of Donald Trump. But he kept fighting, and he kept giving his message. And the American people understood and liked what he was saying. He was talking directly to them. And when he became more and more of a threat, his party turned on him. They began to put him down, more than the Democratic Party did. And then when he won the primaries and went on to the general, we saw the bombardment of the left-wing media, of the Clinton machine turn against him. And yet he still won. And I don't believe it was as close of a race as they try and make it out to be. We all know he won by 85 electoral votes, but I actually think he won the popular vote. I don't think they want us to know that. I think he won the electoral and the popular vote. I think he will definitely, if he's smart and if he uses the power of the executive pen and he passes his agenda through, I think he will win the national vote by more than he did even this time. Because I don't believe their numbers. I don't believe their figures no more than the figures that they said that Hillary Clinton was going to win in an electoral college landslide. How did that turn out? She lost by a landslide. So I think he will win the popular vote in 4 years. But he's got to be smart, and he's got to use the power of the executive pen to pass his bills, get his agenda through. That was the reason the American people sent him to Washington, D.C., to drain the swamp, to close our borders, to take care of our veterans, to take care of our military, tax reform, repeal and replace Obamacare. He has got to get these things done. He has been weakened, and he sees that he has no friends. His party is against him. I think it's devastating because I think it's going to have an effect on his tax reform bill. He wanted to use some of the money he was going to use by repealing and replacing Obamacare to have a tax reform bill that was passed. That's where some of the money was going to come from. So I think that the Democratic Party and the Republicans that are against him saw a 2-for-1. Not only were they going to destroy his health care bill, but they were also going to stop his tax reform bill. And I think that that would just be devastating to the American people because premiums are going to continue to go up on Obamacare to the point where it's going to implode. And the 24 million people that are going to be dumped out of the healthcare system. Now there won't even be a bill that will be up for them to get a new healthcare system going. Now we will have to revisit this 2 years from now or 4 years from now and start all over again. But he's got to right now turn the tide so that when Obamacare does implode, which is going to do, you know what he can say? He can say, hi. Remember when I first took office the first couple of months, the first thing I wanted to do was repeal and replace Obamacare, and I couldn't get the votes from my own party. Check it out, Paul Ryan. Check it out, all you Republicans that didn't get the votes from me. Now go back to your constituents, go back to your wards of your state, and run on that platform that Obamacare has now imploded, and now we have to come back and come up with a new bill. When I tried to pass a bill 2 years ago or 4 years ago, and I got no help. That's what I think Trump is going to do. I think he's a smart man. He's going to turn this around as a win for him. But he has to get tough, and he has to use the executive branch. He has to use the executive pen to fight back, just like Judge Jeanine Pirro said. He's got to, I think, if he can't fire Paul Ryan, if he can't fire James Comey, then he needs to just go around him. He needs to stop trying to work with him. He needs to just work to the American people directly, talk to the American people directly. The only person that I see probably besides his family that I see always has his back is Sean Spicer, who always gives the briefings every day from the White House. I mean, this man stands up and fights for Donald Trump every single day. I see him have Donald Trump's back all the time. And I like Sean Spicer a lot. I love the briefings that he doesn't let those left-wing nuts, those liberals, those people that are there when he gives the briefings, those journalists, he doesn't allow them to push him around. He gets out the words that he wants to get out. He gets out the soundbite from the White House. I can tell whatever Donald Trump wanted him to talk about and how he wanted him to answer the questions. That's exactly what Sean Spicer does. He's a very intelligent man. And he gets the job done. I think that was a wonderful pick, the position that he's in and the job that he does. He's one of the few people that I see that always has President Trump's back. I don't even see Mike Pence fighting for Donald Trump as hard as Sean Spicer does, and definitely not Paul Ryan. I think that he should be repealed and replaced as the Speaker of the House. He is a weak speaker. I think he is in the Democrats' back pocket. And he sat there when Obama was president for 8 years and did absolutely nothing. I think that if Donald Trump had not won the primaries, I think that whoever we ran in the general election against Hillary Clinton that was not Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton would be president today. If John Kasich had won the general election, Hillary Clinton would have beat him. Whoever that we would have sent against Hillary Clinton, if it was not Donald Trump, would have lost in the general election. And I think that they're mad about that. I think that they don't like the fact that he was an outsider, that he's not a politician, that he can't be bought. And I don't think they're going to help him pass any of his agenda through that is to benefit and help the American people. And I think it's a shame. Donald Trump, wake up. You are a smart man. You are president of the United States. You have more power than you think. Actually, thanks to the left-wing nuts, the liberals, who could not push their agenda through. They actually created something that Donald Trump could use, and that's that executive pen. Barack Obama knew he was coming in as a socialist. He knew that the Congress could not back him on his socialist agendas. He knew that the American people, he could just talk directly to them, and that's exactly what he did. And he used the executive order to push through Obamacare and a lot of his socialist left-wing agenda. It's time to repeal that agenda. And Donald Trump used the executive pen the same way Barack Obama did. I want to thank you so much for listening today. And I want to thank my beautiful wife and wonderful executive producer, Cian Garcia, who's just as busy as a butterfly. She's working 3 jobs over here, and she puts out wonderful, wonderful, wonderful shows. We will be up probably tomorrow. The show will be up, if not later on today. But I want you all to please watch the show. It's a very important show, as well as Face the Tribune that preceded me. These are both 2 wonderful shows. Please listen and subscribe to the Las Vegas Tribune, which you can find online. And you also can have subscription, have the paper sent to you. Thank you so much for watching and listening to me. Google me, Chris Garcia, the Conservative American, and push the bell. Subscribe to Chris Garcia, the Conservative American. The show will come directly to your tablet, smartphone, computer, whatever it is that you have. Thank you for watching, and God bless America. God bless our troops. Please, you're always in our prayers to come home safe. And Godspeed to our President, Donald Trump. He needs it. God bless.